Well, Stephanie, you know, golf is a cruel, cruel game. I mean, throughout this series, you have played better than most, as the statement goes, better than most, and yet,
Yeah.
you know, you guys are eliminated. Just some bad breaks.
Yeah, that's the thing about golf is one day you can be on top of the world and play your best and shoot, 65, and then the next day you can really struggle. So it's just a matter of kind of getting past those struggles and picking yourself up every time it happens and learning from them. But that's the nature of the beast that we picked here in this game.
Well, nobody would have guessed it from watching you on television. You look so cool and collected. Meanwhile, we're looking over at Brian and Shannon cuddled together about, in the confessional and just looking like, they lost their best friend. And you're out there looking so positive. Everybody, I'm assuming, thought they'd got a strike. So you really held it together really well for those interviews. That's impressive.
Well, thank you. My feeling, I go into them, of course, when I started the show, I always thought I'll never be one of those girls who sits there and cries. And you do. You get very emotional, and your heart gets tied up in your teammates and in your game and in what is going on in the competition. But in the end, I always try to remind myself that it is just a game, and it's just a TV show, and, there are a lot worse things that could happen than being eliminated. Obviously, when you're there, you want the most and you want to win, and you came there to win, but there's only one winner, and there has to be 5 other teams who lose. And so I just tried to draw from the positives and take away all the positives that I could from it.
Well, that's certainly going to serve you well in your golf game.
It has already. I'm telling you, I have learned more from that failure, and I have pushed myself harder because of it. And I truly believe that the reason that I had such a successful second half of the season in 2013 was because of that one day in Puerto Rico.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's terrific. Well, see, there is a silver lining.
That's right. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah, me too, actually. Well, it was sad to watch Al struggle. He is such a sweetheart. And looking at him, he looked so devastated, and he had such a hard day. But it was really wonderful to see Oren pick up. I mean, he'd struggled for the first few days of the series, and he played so well. That 160-yard challenge, I think he beat everybody out there.
I think he did. Yeah, I was really proud of Oren. He did so well, and especially after struggling a little bit, that's the mark of a great golfer, is somebody who can struggle for a few days and then turn it around and not dwell on the mistakes, but get past them and forget them. And I think that's something Oren does really well. He's a veteran of the game. He just turned 40 recently, and he's learned so much in his failures and in his successes. But that's one thing that I learned from Oren, actually, is that it doesn't serve you well to dwell on your mistakes. You have to learn from them, and you have to move on, but you have to use them to make you a better golfer, and he does that fantastically. So I was very proud of Oren. I just wish that we had gelled together better as a team. I think if I had been able to play the way that I started out the show, and he, was able to play the way that he finished the show, we would have been an unbeatable team.
Yeah, timing is everything, isn't it?
I know, right? Of course.
Yeah, watching him pick up that putter, everybody's going, excuse me, he's putting from there? This is not a link-style golf course. So but he pulled it off. He pulled it off.
Yeah, he definitely, he told me at the very beginning, he said, don't be alarmed if I take my putter from off the green. I do it all the time, So, of course, it isn't the shot that I necessarily would play, but to each his own. There are lots of different ways to play every shot, and you have to respect him for going with what he felt like was his best chance of getting it up and down.
Yep. No, it worked. So, hey, you can't argue with something that works. And then putting, there is no right way to putt anymore.
That's right.
Everybody does it different. So,
you got it.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of drama this week. Watching the show, it was interesting. I liked watching the actual challenges. I thought they were fun and everything. But I mean, behind the scenes, all the stuff going on with Dolman, and of course, Al's put right in the middle of it, right at the very beginning. He looked completely shocked. That whole thing. I mean, I heard from Brian this week, and he said there was a bunch of stuff going on behind the scenes that we didn't get to see on television. He named a couple things, but I mean, did you know that day that, during the day you were playing, that what the tricks that were being played by Dolman, going with the double when it was previously supposed to be Shannon and all those things? Were you aware of all that happening?
No, honestly, I had no idea. And Al came back after he went over to the shop by the tree, and he came back and was like, "You're not going to believe what just happened. You're not going to believe what he just said." And I was shocked. I mean, what it made me realize was how lucky I was to have a captain in Al that was so supportive and so encouraging. And he told me from the very beginning, when we were, even before we even chose what shot we were going to hit, he said, "Well, you're going double points for sure because you've been playing the best." And for me, that gave me a lot of confidence, not only just in that challenge, but in my game overall, that he would put his fate in my hands. But yeah, I was pretty appalled by what happened, and I was most impressed with Shannon Fish and how she handled it. I mean, coming from someone who's very competitive, that would have been very hurtful to come from one of your own teammates, but I was really impressed by the way she said, "Well, I'm a competitor, and I'll show you then. If you're going to take away my double points, I'll show you what's up." So, and she did it. She did it beautifully, and I was really impressed by her.
Yeah, I think everybody was, and there was certainly some comments even on TV from other players saying, "I bet he feels stupid right now," but I don't think he does. I don't think he ever feels stupid. I think he always feels right.
Yeah,
He's
it's interesting.
He's a heck of a guy, I tell you.
He's a tough guy. I mean, I know that there's definitely a different mentality in football, and that I don't really understand because I've never been around those guys very much until this experience. But golf is very different, and you have to be in the right mindset to play golf. So I guess I just don't see how that is really helping his teammates. But they're still one team without an X so far. So I guess it's working for them.
Well, I don't know if it's working or if it's whatever. I mean, he has two very strong players there that are pulling through regardless of the turmoil. But I heard that I heard that you texted Shannon the night of this show and said some nice words to her to try to encourage her, given what she'd gone through that day. Is that true, or is that a rumor?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely very friendly with Shannon and with all the girls. I mean, every single one of these 12 competitors that were the big breakers, I consider part of my family. I went through an experience that really only the 12 of us know exactly what it all entailed, and so that made us grow very close. And for me, I respect Shannon. I think that she's a great player, and she's a very sweet girl, and I love watching her come through what she's going through because she's doing it with grace and with poise, and I'm very impressed by her. When you're there, the thing is, when you're in the competition, you're in the competition, so you're not focusing on what else is going on. I knew there was some drama and I knew there was some turmoil, but I didn't necessarily know the extent to which it was. And when you watch it and you see her still pull off shots, and Brian too, I mean, Brian's pulling off shots very well. It's quite impressive to see it from the outside perspective as opposed to being down there. And I'm sure, honestly, it was probably even worse than they're making it seem because it's even harder when you're there in the competition. So I have all the respect for those two people for getting through and pushing through with success.
Well, they are impressive. It is great. I hope things cool down a little bit now. I've heard there's been some talking behind the scenes to try to get him to, straighten up a little bit.
See that, hopefully, I don't necessarily think that they're going to be a great, happy family, and that's a shame because this experience is something that really drew me and Al and Oren together, and Oren and I are still great friends. We hung out together yesterday on morning drive, and we're going to play some golf together. We've had dinner together. I'm going to visit Al actually this weekend in Birmingham, and we're going to play an event tomorrow and then go to the Auburn, Georgia football game. So they've really become parts of my family and people that I will probably maintain lifetime relationships with. And it's a shame to see that Shannon and Brian didn't necessarily get that same experience. And that's why I still maintain, even though we lost, that I was one of the luckiest ones there, because the two guys that I have made friendships with, I plan on keeping for the rest of my life. But yeah, Shannon and Brian didn't necessarily get that same experience.
No, it's true. Well, I know that the Golf Channel does a pretty darn good job of treating the people who do get eliminated early with filling in their days with fun things to do. I know the water event was for the people who got immunity the other day, but Did you get to participate in any of those sort of extracurricular activities and have some fun?
We did. Actually, I was preparing for a tournament that we were flying straight into South Bend, Indiana for our biggest event of the year. So Al and I went out and played 18 or 27 holes almost every day. We obviously had to go around where they were filming because we didn't want to get in the way, because supposedly we were sent home.
Yeah, I know.
There were two other courses at Dorado Beach that were absolutely beautiful, and we got to play there a lot, and we played the East Course a couple more times, and we did some fun activities. We did a little bit of, windsurfing and a little bit of wakeboarding and some water activities, and went to the beach and just kind of enjoyed each other's company. It was so much fun just to relax and have fun together outside of the golf as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I've heard that's lots of fun, so that's terrific. I'm so glad that you did get to do that. Yeah. So you were on the morning drive, and you've been on Big Break Academy, and you've done so many things as a result of being on these shows, and you've got your favorite people. You've had some pretty special moments. It's all been terrific. So where do we go from here, Stefanie? What's next for you?
Well, I'm really going to draw on these experiences. I'm telling you, this opportunity that Golf Channel gave me was, I thought, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I got to do it twice. And I feel so blessed that I was given the chance to go through both experiences, win or lose. And really from here, I'm going to draw on the experiences. I'm going to take the confidence that I gained from them and learn from the failures, obviously, and work harder. I'm going through LPGA Q school right now, so I've made it through the first two stages and on to the final stage, which will take place in 3 weeks in Daytona Beach. Ooh. So really, I mean, I'm playing great. Everything is exactly where I want it to be. I'm working with a few new sponsors, trying to get some help for next year, because as of right now, I've been paying all my own expenses. And it's opened so many doors just to me that I couldn't even comprehend at the beginning of 2013 what this year held for me. And it's been the most exciting and memorable year of my entire life. And I can't wait to see what the next year has.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, it's great. So it really is a big break. Even if you don't win the end game on the show, you certainly come away with all these opportunities, which is so wonderful. And you take advantage of them, which is even better.
I do, and I try, honestly. I was just talking to a friend about all of the different activities I've been doing, and they're like, man, you're just so busy, don't you ever get tired? And right now is just such an exciting time in my career. I'm trying to establish my name and my brand and get my name out there a little bit more, and I try as much as I can to never say no. If I can be at an event, or if I can go visit with a young girl on a driving range, I just got to meet a little young girl who had watched every single Big Break, and every morning the next day she would text me and say, good job, or her dad would text me, she's only 12, and just as many opportunities as I can to do things like that and to interact with fans and with, fans of the show and fans of the LPGA. I try and do as many as possible, because I feel like that's the best way, one, to grow my own brand, and two, to grow the game. And that's really what it's all about.
No, it's true. Well, that's wonderful. Well, it's been great talking to you. We're going to continue talking every week after the show.
Okay.
So I'd love to get your input on watching it for the first time.
Yeah,
each of
definitely.
the episodes.
Yeah. I might
Is there
even some pictures I can send of us doing our little activities.
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah, please send me pictures. Everybody loves. Yeah. Well, anything you want to close with before we sign off today?
No, just thanks again for having me. I look forward to keeping in contact throughout the next couple episodes and the end of the series. And it's just, obviously I was very, very disappointed, and you could see the emotion on my face, and you could see the tears. And it's something that I really and truly wanted to win, but in the long run, I know that God has a bigger plan and that the doors that have been opened up through this opportunity are just so great that I feel so blessed. So we'll have to just see what they are as they come.
Well, I'm sure they're going to be tons. So, well, thank you again. Let's talk
All right,
next week.
you.
And meanwhile, have fun with what you're doing.
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
good. Well, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, you take care.
Bye-bye.